I'm Daryl Brown. Welcome to Shades of Us, a show that explores multicultural identities and how they intersect.
We're in New York City's Little Italy, a neighborhood once home to a thriving Italian population. Across the city, people find strength in unity and support, though not all groups are defined by ethnicity. In this series finale, we'll meet New Yorkers who are making a difference in their communities and explore how these groups are shaping the city's identity. Stay tuned for these stories right after this. The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. Coretta Scott King, civil rights leader.
In the South Bronx neighborhood of Hunts Point, community voices play a powerful role in the fight against climate change and environmental injustice.
When we talk about climate change and addressing that issue, we do have to focus on what's happening now on the ground. Being wary that our community members also have a ton of intersectionalities that come into play, including that race aspect, including immigration status. It does make a community more vulnerable than the rest.
We come from a organizing space of saying, like, the most impacted frontline communities should be the ones leading this work and coming up with solutions. And we have a frontline community right here that is dealing with environmental justice issues. My name is Dariela Rodriguez. I'm the Director of Community Development here at the Point CDC since 2019. I'm the person who leads the development team in anything that's community organizing campaigns around environmental justice. I'm like that connection between policy and people in our neighborhood.
My name is Leslie Vasquez, and I'm the Environmental Justice Organizer at the Point CDC. My role is to plug in the community development campaigns and efforts into actual community practice, including the participation of our youth organizers. I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, and I came to the Bronx about 15 years ago. In the Dominican Republic, I experienced a couple of environmental justice issues like lack of access to water, lack of access to energy. So when I came to the Bronx, where it was just like this urban jungle, where extreme heat was a problem and where disparities were very clear and apparent, that intersectionality of all of these social issues coming together and also addressing climate change, that for me was like, yes, that's what I want to do.
Hunts Point is a beautiful, vibrant neighborhood, but there are some real serious injustices and dangers that are happening right now here with our community.
Hunts Point is a part of the South Bronx, and the South Bronx is encircled by 3 major highways. We have 4 power plants. We have tons of warehouses and an industrial zone that the majority of Hunts Point takes up. With all of the trucks that those industries bring in, we have poor air quality. And so Hunts Point and many areas in the South Bronx are considered Asthma Alley because we have one of the highest asthma rates in the entire country, and 1 in 4 children have asthma.
Environmental justice has a lot to do with race. It has to do with economy. It has to do with like actual planning and where things are zoned. And we see trends across our country and definitely across our city where communities that are Black, brown, immigrant, poor, those are the communities that are hotter, those are the communities that are industrial, those are the communities that have higher rates of asthma. And the point of our work is to take someone from believing that they can't do something about it to being that person that says what we can do. There was a battle, like a mental health battle with me as a young person. I was very depressed. I just felt like everything is messed up and we can't even do anything about it. What's the point? But then when I had my kids, I was like, damn, man, I can't just not care. And I started organizing with people through like health and fitness and food. And then I was like, damn, lack of access to green spaces, lack of access to clean water, all of these things are actually connected to the same problems. It went from like, I can't do anything about it and everything sucks and it's all messed up and what's the point? To like, damn, people are doing something about this and that I could be part of that group of people. And so I literally feel that organizing, especially organizing at this grassroots level, it really helped me find my purpose, and it really was the reason that I was like, all right, I don't want to leave this earth just yet.
Bringing people together is a big component to our work, and it is a difficult one. But once we get them all together, that's really when our work starts to move forward.
Our role is to create those experiences where people can connect and learn things, but also that they're teaching us. A lot of listening happens, a lot of our community determining what our work looks like and what are solutions that we push forward. That's really important for us. One of our environmental justice campaigns is the Last Mile campaign. We are a coalition of multiple organizations that are all in neighborhoods very similar to Hunts Point, including Brooklyn and Newtown Creek, that have a lot of industrial warehouses. Their actual warehouse is not necessarily what's polluting the air. So they could say, I have a net zero building and my building is super clean, right? But if your building requires 10,000 truck trips a day to come in and out to deliver and to pick up goods, then we're saying that's an indirect source of pollution, and there should be a rule that attaches all the impact from your trucks, your workers, your whatever it is that's connected to your business, and it's not just your actual physical building. And so we're trying to get legislation to include something called the indirect source rule that's actually in City Council right now.
We are here today as over 600 young New Yorkers to advocate for strong policy demands.
On March 5th, we took 110 young people from the Bronx to Albany so that we can advocate for a climate fund campaign, which makes sure that funds should go into environmental justice communities. And it's so important for us because we really do want to make sure that the youth have the opportunity to speak to a legislator, to be able to say, I want to make a difference. There's something going on in my community and I want to voice that. Dealing with extreme heat, dealing with flooding, dealing with public health issues, dealing with other environmental and social and personal problems all at once, it really does require to have a village to build you up, to have an additional support system. So one of the programs that we have to deal with that community resiliency issue is through the Be a Buddy program. The goal of it is to have intergenerational components where we have seniors paired with young people to check up on each other when there's an extreme heat event, or when air quality is poor. We want to make sure that we're getting phone calls asking, like, how are you? Like, are you feeling okay? Make sure that you have your asthma pump. By the way, this cooling center is open until this time. You can have access to that. That relationship building is truly what makes our work move forward. Community is the one that mobilizes the work that we do.
And how we define resiliency in our community lens is our ability to thrive. Not just one person surviving or one person being able to have what they need, but all of us collectively being able to do that.
Step into the tech world and meet a Middle Eastern Latina founder building a platform for aspiring coders.
I think because of how I got into tech, to me, community was everything and mentorship was everything. And it was part of the purpose that I felt just being part of the tech industry. My name is Zainab Ibrahimi. I'm an engineering manager and founder of Flourish. At Flourish, which is the company that I founded in 2021, we help newly grads looking to enter the tech industry with interview skills. Very interesting thing is nobody really teaches us how to interview. And so our platform is all about learning what it takes specifically to get a job in tech and using and leveraging community and mentorship, which is really what helped me get into the industry. So I was born in New York to a Chilean mom and an Iranian dad. When I was here in New York, I was raised Muslim. Both of my parents practiced Islam, and I went to the mosque. I wore a hijab, and that was part of my identity and my community and my culture. When I moved to Chile, that changed very drastically. I moved to Chile when I was 7. My parents separated, and so my mom took me and my sister back to Chile, and I was raised with my grandparents. Being a mixed child was a blessing, but also came with it a lot of emotions around never feeling like I belonged. On my Chilean side, maybe I was too tall, or my name was not very Chilean, very Latina. On my Iranian side, maybe I didn't speak Farsi well enough. So I was never, I was always looking to fit in. And this idea of belonging was something that was really important to me. And my grandparents in Chile were Catholic. They celebrated Christmas, which was something new to me. And, the way that we dressed and the way that we, were in community was very different. I really embraced that culture because, I was in Chile and it was a time that was kind of tough for me financially and emotionally. I was looking for other avenues and figuring out what I wanted to do. And this one day, I saw this movie. I was like at the house watching TV and Transformers was running. And I'm watching it and I had this like light bulb moment. There's this one character in the movie. Her name is Maggie Madison. And she's like the hacker that deciphers the Decepticon signals. And she, is not the main character in this movie, but she basically saves the world through her skills. And at the end of this movie, I was like, that's what I want to do. And at that point in time, I had never done any coding. I had no idea what to do with that, but I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And moved to the United States, started a career in tech. I think a lot of people don't see themselves in the field. For the past 20 years, it's been very homogenous, stereotypical, very elitist. Once I got into the field, I struggled a lot through being the only one and feeling like I didn't belong. I was trying to find where I fit. I wasn't white American, and I didn't know which communities would actually kind of embrace me. That was years of just exploring both sides of my identity, but specifically related to tech. That kind of carried into me in my career, right? I was always the only one. In my classes in college, I was very often the only person of color. And that brought in a lot of sense of imposter syndrome, a lot of struggles around figuring out or wondering if I belonged in this industry. And so charting my own path and just focusing on the ultimate goal, which was to have a career in tech and to be able to be successful. So part of the reason why I started Flourish was because I was meeting a lot of grads or from boot camps or college or even folks who were self-taught that were brilliant, that had the skills to do the job, but did not believe in themselves enough or did not have the particular skills that were required to interview or did not have the connections to actually get a job. So the program that we created was all around providing interview skills. So it was a set of classes related to interviewing. It was about connecting with other folks who were also looking for a job because that peer mentorship was also super helpful. Having people who believe in you, who see you, who cheer you on, who want you to succeed is extremely important. What happened a lot was folks that would come through the program were maybe first generation, and their parents were not people that maybe could help them and support them through the job search, right? Or they didn't have people in their community that knew anything about tech that could really help them get through that really tough process. And so we were trying to be that and trying to be there for them so that they can actually do what they can do best, which is actually code and build technology. What stuck with me is my experience allowed me to be resilient and to continue to plow through even though I was the only one. But that also gave me a sense of responsibility, that I didn't want other people to feel that way. And I felt like there was a space for me and for people like me, and that we had a lot to bring. And that kind of segued into the next chapter of my career, which was why I started Flourish. I truly believe that the only way we really achieve diversity, equity, inclusion in the tech industry is making sure that those who are actually building the software, those who are owning the businesses, are from diverse backgrounds. Because companies, large companies, current corporations, yes, we can ask and demand for them to have quotas. We can ask and demand for them to be inclusive, to have programs, but if they don't have incentives to do that, they will not do it. Even though it is very clear from an economical and financial perspective that the more diverse your workforce is, the better the products that you create.
We'll be back after this break. Located between Elmhurst and Jackson Heights, two of the most diverse neighborhoods in the U.S., Terraza 7 is a hub for artistic innovation, where immigrant acoustic traditions meet contemporary music in a dynamic cultural exchange.
My name is Freddy Castiblanco. I'm the founder and curator of Terraza 7. We found the most diverse community on earth. It's exactly in the middle of Jackson Heights and Elmhurst. But at the same time, I found that each community tend to self-isolate. Ecuadorians and Colombians and Mexicans. They try to recreate their own traditions, their own culture. So I noticed that it would be really important to be able to appreciate others' cultures. We started building the place in 2001 and opened to the public in June 20, 2002. So we have been basically 23 years doing live music. From the beginning, I knew that I should provide a platform for artistic expressions, a place where all communities can express artistically. At this point, basically, we are the most diverse music venue in New York. We have done more than 6,000 concerts in the last 23 years.
que la terre sur laquelle tu roules s'arrête, or amo, kilo, que crève imaginé. entre le tango de la farce française.
Well, I love many of them, but I mean, I remember the Venezuelan jam with the master Venezuelan jazz guitar, Aquiles Baez. That was beautiful concert. The Afro-Colombian jam with Curulao. There are so many. I mean, I would say the series that I call From Morocco to Veracruz is beautiful because exemplify how the traditions from the Arabic world travel through Andalusia and then through Caribbean and ends in Veracruz. And in that series, I remember, I mean, the beautiful concert of Harana Beat. This is Terrace, not only the showcase of those expressions, but it's a place where the music itself is created. That's why we are so important in this community, because we have been platform for our artistic diversity, but also for community issues. Now that our diversity is under attack, it's very important to stay united, to appreciate others' cultures, and fight back together.
That's our show. If you want to know more about the guests we featured, check out our Instagram page at Shades of Us TV and online at tv.cuny.edu. You can now download the app and watch CUNY TV from wherever you are. I'm Darryl Brown. Thank you for watching Shades of Us.